Welcome, everyone. This is Pine Needles, and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at the latest in LOTRO and hear LOTRO players. And this week, I'm joined by Krister,
Hello.
Cinders,
Hello.
and Sanswinda.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. Are you ready to hear some release notes?
Yep. Coffee in hand.
Bower release notes. Yes, we have Bower Update 46 Kingdoms of Parad Beta number 1. Apparently, the one that was last week was beta number 0 because it was just special preview for raids and all that. This is the first real beta related to the Kingdoms of Harad. So what do we have here? First of all, access to Kingdoms of Harad on Bomer. Those who have pre-purchased Kingdoms of Harad will have access to the zone on the account used to purchase the expansion. If you have not purchased the expansion, you could purchase the content in the Bulwer for 10 LOTRO points. Search the quest back Kings of Parad. And of course, that's using Bulwer LOTRO points, not your regular LOTRO points even then. So you could do that if you need. But anyway, you have access to Kings of Parad, though they only opened up one of the zones so far. The Kings of Parad stands at a crossroads, their rivalry sharpening as greater threats gather strength. Gandalf has come with a warning of a darkness rising in the south. The Tharduth, ancient servants of Morgoth, rise once more, harnessing powers that could unmake the balance of Middle-earth. And the first zone to open up is Adagim, once a thick evergreen forest that covered the lands between Muir and the Ikerban. It was home of the Kinta Elves and the Ishakai. Adagi, now called Moulderwood, has become a nightmarish boggy wilderness that has given over to a rot, which has corrupted tree and wildlife alike. When the Ordekai invaded Shagana, they brought with them the Den of Stone, which cracked the earth under the veil and caused a fungal blight to rise and infect the soil. The trees became hard as stone, covered in strange growths, and the rivers turned to poison. The pale blight forced the Kentai to abandon many of their settlements as the fight to maintain and save what little untainted land remains. So we saw a little peek at this back in the Ikerban Valley when we were doing there, so it looks like it's even worse in Adagim. Begin your journey in this new area on the East Road out of Imhular with the quest The Fading Grove, which is bestowed by Samitai. So that's what we've got so far in there, and they'll most likely be opening up other lands next week. Now, I did spend a little time in there to look around, and the place can look a bit weird, shall we say. Not exactly a place where I'd like to settle. Let's just say that.
Oh, come on. It can't be as bad as that other place.
Well, I'm sure there are plenty of places in Lotro that are worse. I mean, Mordor comes to mind on that.
Yeah. I feel like you can get a really cheap place in Mordor, you know?
You get a really cheap place to it?
Yeah, because nobody wants to live there now, so.
I will say, most likely, no one really wants to live there. I mean, it's hard to believe that you had all those Gurzel who are infighting for control over Mordor. So why? Who wants good? I think that that the Weeping Warrior was one of the smarter ones in deciding that, I'm not going to stay in Mordor. I'm going to go out to the east where you don't have to worry about all those volcanoes blowing up and things like that.
But didn't the Weeping Warrior have experience outside of Mordor prior to?
Well, yeah, he planned ahead.
Well, and he knew like there was more out there. But if all you've ever known is like Mordor, like, of course you'd fight for control of that because you don't know that there's something better out there that you could just go get.
I suppose you got a point with that.
What they need to do is unify behind a franchise. They need to create something like TGI Mordors or McMordors. Burger Soren.
Okay, that's a funny idea.
Keep on thinking about it. On October 15th, they had a special raid focus borrower preview. Last week, they had a preview in there where they did all sorts of testings in there. They made some tweaks to what they had in there to help to even improve. Now they're hoping, I think, to get the adjustments in there that they had for the performance into the game preps before the expansion, because one of the things they're trying to test is to improve performance as much as possible so that everything could be all nice and cozy there. Because right now, things get a bit slow when you're in raids and on the moors and stuff like that. So they were doing more testing on that. So let's hope they got some good numbers in there and that they'll be able to update that soon. Now they also added a new crafting tier, Tier 16, Sulmadash. Tier 16 auto-granted recipes for all professions are included in this build. Resources can be found throughout the kingdoms of Harad. Resources will be added to the tavern NPCs for the next update. And for release notes update 46.1 beta, we have a special note. Salutations to Faraday's Farmers Fair wrapper quest will now take 12 total days to complete rather than 15. Of course, that will go into effect for next year's Farmers Fair since Farmers Fair has already been completed. Festivals and events. A Bountiful Harvest Fall Festival wrapper quest can no longer be canceled to prevent issues with properly receiving the quest every year. As for ring raids, the spiderweb hotspots for ring raids adds no longer stack effects. Updated most raid skill inductions to hopefully reduce or eliminate the instances of the AI becoming stuck during skill execution. Updated target video effects on Innovating Grip and Ring Raid Shadowlands video effects no longer displays large purple boxes when post-processing effects are disabled in advanced graphics settings. As for classes and skills, there seem to be some significant changes relating to classes. For the burglar, Mischievous Wound can now benefit from dot critical chances. I'm sure the burglars will be happy about that. Clever Retort outputs now have reduced critical magnitude. I'm sure the burglars aren't going to be happy about that one. Clever Retort now consumes aim correctly when used. Cash out payout damage variance reduced from 20% to 5%. And Burglar Subtle Stab now has a plus 10% inherent bonus to critical chance as intended. As for champions, Mighty Roar no longer removes unbreakable buffs. Mighty Roar now has a 10-minute radius and its target count has been increased from 5 to 10. Unbreakable buffs now reduce incoming damage up to 10% rather than increasing tactical mitigation. Adamant buff has been cleaned up and now reduces all incoming damage by 5%, with additional 4% per fervor up to 25%. Armor of the Hidden Horde Martial Combatants Unbroken buff now lasts 60 seconds rather than 120 seconds. Merciful Strike damage increased by about 700%.
That's a lot of percent.
Yeah. I mean, that Merciful Strike is going to...
700% sounds pretty merciless, frankly.
Yeah. Merciful Minded no longer changes the health threshold of Merciful Strike. Merciful Minded trait now gives you a 3% chance for Merciful Strike to become available regardless of target health. Merciful Minded ranks 2 to 3 now increase the chance of unlocking unrestricted Merciful Strike up to 10%. Devastating Strike now increases your personal outgoing melee damage rather than your target's incoming melee damage. Champion Adamant now correctly consumes fervor when used. Sweeping Riposte now generates 2 fervor when used. Merciful Strike now consumes up to 2 fervor when used, but can be used without any fervor. And Unbreakable's max morale buff now has a separate 30-second effect. Now for the Hunter, the trait In for the Kill now correctly increases the damage of all Hunter dots. Heartseeker no longer has a bleed by default and correctly gains it from In for the Kill trait. And Rapid Fire T10 now applies plus 5% range damage on top of prior bonuses. For the Lore Master, Pleasant Breeze no longer breaks target stealth when used. I am sure everyone's going to find that to be pleasant. Sign of the Wild Rage now marks your enemy, increasing the damage that they receive from all sources for 20 seconds. Lore Master fixed some pet animations, display issues, and the Lore Master variant of 2 arms now lasts for 15 seconds rather than 10 seconds. For the Mariner, Shanty skills which buff or heal your allies will no longer break them out of stealth when used. I am sure everyone's happy about that. Well, except for Krister, of course. And Minstrels, Gift of the Hammer Hand is no longer immediate, and Perfect Performance Minor Ballad now increases all damage rather than just tactical. Well, any comments about the class changes?
I'm just happy to be part of the team, sir.
I just am sure that people are going to appreciate no longer getting popped out of stealth when somebody's just trying to like heal them or cast a beneficial skill, and then all of a sudden, hello.
Oh, come on, though. I mean, you're casting a healing spell in an empty space, in an empty void. Somebody's going to go, why are you healing that emptiness over there? There has to be something over there.
Right.
Well, I suppose there is a little bit of logic. Of
Would
course,
it be weird if you're wrapping a bandage around nothing?
Right. I'm more thinking like if you're buffing everybody in the area and then suddenly somebody gets popped out of stealth and you're like, oops. Didn't mean to do that. Then you have to wait for them to go back into stealth before you can keep going.
Oh, well.
I mean, bandaging nothing happens a lot in kindergarten. It's not that far-fetched.
Valid. I had to tell one kid. I told a kindergartner that we don't bandage bruises generally because it doesn't do any good. Just quit poking it. It hurts. Well, yeah, you're jabbing it.
Yeah, if I'm injured, it's like, ow, that hurts. Ow, that hurts. Ow, that hurts. Quit touching it. But, ow. I can't stop.
All right, let's have a look at changes for combat and monsters. Reduce the damage on Goblin Sapper Fire Puddles. Yes, thank you.
But that's all they had. If you reduce that, what do they have left?
I mean, my Guardians watches the morale dive down very, very quickly when those Goblin Sappers throw one of those
if you're
doing
it right, then every single one of those pots is headed towards the Guardian.
Well, and you're not supposed to stand in the fire, but...
Well, yes, but by the time...
How else can we make s'mores?
Yes, but the time to get out of the way of the fire once it's thrown onto you still takes up half my morale.
Fair.
That's why you have the other half.
That's why you run around with a captain.
Yeah, that was half of your morale as the tank. But that also was the entire morale combined of the rest of the party.
Right. The trick is to run around with the captain, I've learned.
Mm-hmm.
It is a pretty amazing experience.
Yes.
What, running around with the captain?
Yeah.
Yes, I would imagine it would be the closest in LOTRO that you could get to true illumination, exhilaration.
When they're running around with their healing buff up, and like my favorite thing on M is when I'm running around with a healing captain, like when Krister's in his healing stance, and the little green bubbles just continuously float above your head, and your morale just kind of ticks slightly down, and then immediately recovers. And I'm like, this is the life.
Well, that's a captain though. Well, because I used to even in my non-healing, even it was more. If I'm in red line, I'm not going to be healing that great. But if I was a tank or if I was in blue line, I mean, as a tank, I was. You know how what was that? Was it combat analysis? There was a program. There's a plugin that you could get that would show you the whatever you wanted to see. How in this last encounter, who did the most damage, who did the most DPS, who did the most healing, this kind of stuff. And so what I started to see, what was cool, what I took a sense of pride in, I guess, is that as a captain and as a non-healing captain, not a healer focused captain, I was still pumping out so much healing that I would be healing up there. Sometimes I would be not close to the actual minstrels, but I'd be close to any other healing class out there. And so that's what I loved about the captain is as I'm tanking, I'm also I'm hitting my heals as part of my rotation in a continuous go. And that's like you were saying too, Cindrus, that's what's great about a captain's healing is it's not, the like instant spot heals. It is a river. The captain is building a river of healing, and the whole point is to maintain that river the entire time.
And once it gets going, it doesn't stop as long as you stay in range.
Right.
If you're the shield brother, it does not stop unless the captain dies or you get out of range of being in their shield brother.
Well, you think about that too. I mean, the shield brother, you're typically healing 10 to 15% more. You're doing more damage. You've got more mitts. That you know what? I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I just love the captain. I went with it at the beginning, and I never wanted to play another class. Basically, I loved the captain. It's like playing a symphony. It's like a symphony of, well, just arrogance, really. But
yeah, I've been enjoying playing a captain, but running with a captain that's putting out that healing as a guardian is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. Yep, agreed.
Also in Combat and Monsters, World Boss Rotwing's Building Shadow Burst effect will no longer occur unless the target is in Rotwing's general vicinity. As for quests, deeds, and adventure areas, Elendil will no longer refer to you by name when turning in a lost lore of the Great Alliance, since you're technically not present.
Still just disappointing.
Yes. Just someone very, very much like you is present. Apparently that person, even though it was very, very much like you, did not have the same name as you did, apparently. Okay.
I mean, it could have been your great, 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 great grandparent, and you were named after them. Like, I don't know. Well, I think it could have worked.
Yeah. Well, unless, of course, you were playing a high elf, in which case you were probably there.
Right? So, like, again,
you couldn't be there because you were knocked out at the beginning of the battle.
I don't know. I think they could have made it work if they wanted to, because I don't know about anybody else, but in the way that it's been set up, like, I've never felt like I was pulled out of the fantasy world when they used my name. Like, yeah. Now, if they used my real name all of a sudden from nowhere, I'd be like, wait a second, that's a little too much.
Yeah.
But if they're using my character's name, like, it doesn't break the immersion in the game, at least not for me. But
Isuriel has been reminded of Mazog's correct lineage and will no longer confuse his family tree in Volume 2, Book 8, Chapter 2.
My mother's sister's aunt's friend. No, wait. My mother's best friend's cousin's dog. No, wait.
All right. It gave Kukurin's banner for hindering the enemy's defenses the correct effect during the instance of Midnight in the Drownhold. Removed the Volume 1, Book 3 forward from the list of quests that can get shared to your fellowship to prevent unintentionally blocking your fellowship members. The Gundabad Allegiance mission, Chapter 2, The Mountain Home, now requires fewer banners. Thank goodness! Banners now remain after being placed. Due to these changes, the mission will be versioned on release and incomplete progress will be reset. It was always annoying trying to find all those banner positions for that quest. Fix a typo in the Song of Waves and Wind, Chapter 13.8, Last Words. Removed the Volume 1, Book 3 forward from the list of quests that can be showed to your fellowship to prevent unintentionally blocking your fellowship members, and gave Kukurin's banner for hindering the enemy's defenses the correct effect. Wait, didn't I read that one already? Wait.
Yep.
Apparently, we corrected it twice for Kukurin. Wow.
He's a lucky guy.
It has some pull. Yeah, has some clout.
Yes. As for instances and skirmishes, cosmetic pets are no longer permitted in the Dol Guldur instance group, in their absence instance group, and the Tower of Orthanc raid.
What?
Also, festival tricks are no longer permitted in those same three groups. The minstrel skill. Someone have a comment there?
Yes, but never mind.
Okay. The minstrel skill, Still as Death, is no longer permitted in the Dol Guldur instance group. You know the group area.
Rude.
And the more...
Just saying it's rude to not let you use it. You've been able to use it till now, and now they're like, no more.
No more. Sorry.
Time to go rewrite all of those walkthroughs there. You can't just dip out if you want to.
I would presume then that things like Hobbit Silence also won't be able to work in that situation.
You'd think.
Right.
Probably. Don't remind them, though, just in case.
Mm-hmm. Unless they had already taken care of those. The Moria Quest instance, Cease to Resist, now allows players to leave the instance via the initial door. 4 missions and delvings. Weekly mission quests on a mission weekly and on a continuing mission weekly have been updated to incorporate new missions. This will cause the missions quest to be reset upon release. Delvings will now be available at level 160. Progress will be reset on the weekly quest Delve Deeper, Delve into the Darkness, and Delve Deepest upon launch. And landscape treasure caches no longer appear in the Elder Slave mission, The Roots of Decay. As for PvMP, fixed an issue with the completion of the Tyrant and Captain General quests being swapped. These should now complete for the correct sides. Also, Tyrant's brands and Captain General insignias have been deprecated and are no longer functional. You may barter your old brands or insignias for some of their original commendations values at either the Gransfoot or Glandfrag. These items were always a stopgap solution and were originally added when the players did not have access to skill-based crowd control breakouts. Though Freep classes gained skill-based breakouts years ago, Creeps lagged behind. As of this update, though, all Creeps now have skill-based CC breakouts, meaning that every player now has access to both a catch-all breakout skill as well as existing potions for specifics such as CC within the Entmoors, allowing us to finally retire brands and insignias. Root position Oh, no, sorry. Root potions, solvents of painful freedom, solvent of release, file of unbinding now grant 5 seconds immunity to slows as well as their existing root immunity. For black arrows, at rank 2, access to focus, which will free you from any negative combat states and apply temporary immunity to crowd control and slows. For the defiler, at rank 2, gains access to smelling salts, which will free you from the negative combat states and apply temporary immunity to crowd control and slows. For the Reaper, resilience is now accessible at rank 2. For stalkers, at rank 2, gain access to either slink away or retaliate, depending on your stance, both of which will free you from any negative combat states and apply temporary immunity to crowd control and slows. Slink away causes you to enter stealth for 3 seconds, and retaliate will damage a targeted enemy within range and heal you when you are stuck for a short time thereafter.
Well, it's about time. That, I think, will be nice.
Okay, your works are happy then.
That does seem like something that would make the wargs very happy, yes.
Yes, okay. For the War Leader, Purge is now a single target cleanse skill, which can be used on yourself or an ally to remove 1 or 2 harmful effects. Snap Out of It is now a self-targeted, non-AoE skill, which will free you from a negative combat state and apply temporary immunity to crowd control and slows. For the Weaver, at rank 2, gain access to Swallow Light, which will heal you and free you from negative combat states and apply temporary immunity to crowd control and slows. In other words, adding those skills that they said, well, now that everybody has them, we can get rid of this. Okay. Apparently, they are still working in the background on getting the sorcerer up to speed so that they could introduce the new class. But it looks like it's not yet ready. As for miscellaneous floating objects have been grounded. Terrain texture issue.
Go to your room. Sorry.
I
You're grounded.
I was waiting for someone to say that.
Sorry, it took a minute for the mute to come off.
Yes. Terrain texture issue in the Entwash Vale has been fixed. Stuck spot in Furtherholm has been fixed. Lothlorian dock routes from the landlocked dockmaster can now be used. Ethring is now listed in the Ringlow Vale on Stable Masters instead of Lothonach. Stuck spot in the Old Forest has been fixed. As stuck spot in the Old Forest has been blocked off, any characters currently still in this location will need to milestone or /duck to remove themselves from this location. And Vale Ore for the Rohan quest preparing for the siege are no longer buried within a boulder. Thank you. As for localization, translations for the titles of Farmer, Wanderer of the Free City, and Proud will now display properly in French. Also, translations for the titles Sublime Stalwart, Dragon Slayer, and Adept of Shadows will now properly display in German. As for art and avatars, Elf and High Elves now animate correctly when using the Golden Passage milestone skill, and added 2 new options that will allow players to change the color of hotspot area guides. As for miscellaneous, the Sandpiper cosmetic pets effects will now sound like a sandpiper instead of a chicken. Hand knell volume has been lowered a bit to be a bit more in line with other instruments, and AB2 is now closer in tone to surrounding notes. And the avatars should now properly play sound effects when using the milestone of the Golden Passage. And that's it for the updates that were in the first beta for the Kingdoms of Harad. I'm expecting there to be several more of these Bulwer bills between now and the end of November so that we can be ready for a December release, right?
Right.
That's what we're hoping for, right?
Okay. Then let's head on to the next bit of news where the 15th Legendary Items reward track is being extended through December 2nd, turning off with the downtime on December 3rd or 9:59 a.m. Eastern, whichever is first. This extension will allow the 16th Legendary Items reward track to debut with release of the Kingdoms of Harad and its new level cap of 160. So that means this, of course, is assuming that the Kingdoms of Harad is released on the current target date on December 3rd. Obviously, if things change, then they may do some tweaking to the reward track also. We'll have to see. But right now, it looks like they're planning to start the 16th reward track at the same time they add the new content. And that way, because we have the level increase, they didn't want to have, I guess, all this weird stuff happening with everyone starting the reward track with one level cap and then having a level cap change right in the middle, during the early parts of the season. Next, we also had the third of the casual strolls through the new area. We had the casual stroll through Ansharu, which was a bit of a sort of a basalt, I guess a basalt wasteland, I guess is probably the best way to do that. So you're going to see crystalline structures all over the place and the like. And that's it for the game news. So let's head into our store sales. Cinders, what's on sale this week?
On sale this week is Kingdoms of Harad is now available to pre-purchase. And you can learn more about the next expansion by clicking the link in the show notes. You can accelerate your adventure and get 20% off of select Gift of the Valor packs and select Gift of the Valor level boosts. I noticed today when I logged on that the level 140 Valor is one of the ones on sale right now. And you can also get Mithril coins through October 23rd. The weekly coupon is for free black dye with coupon code After the Shadow No Space is in there also through October 23rd.
All right. Thank you, Cinders. As for the Valor package, it looks like Cordovan pretty much said, in other words, all the ones except the 150 is what on select Valor boost means. So, yes. So, that is it for the news portion. So let's head into our week in gaming. Krister, what were you up to?
This was kind of a light week. It's the end of the year type of stuff, so everything's getting exciting at work. But got in and did the most important things that I could possibly do in Lord of the Rings for myself, which is I messed with my War Steed cosmetics and my cosmetics on my character. I'm still thinking that my favorite costume that I wear now is the one where I have the glitched helmet, where my head is gone in the cowled visor, and so you just see emptiness there. I'm getting a lot of people complimenting me on it, but it is a really cool look. And so I did that this week. I played some Age of Wonders 4. I decided to get a bit nostalgic and installed Half-Life 2 again and played a little bit of that as well as a little bit of Doom. And mainly this week has been not the original Doom, but the updated re-release. What was it, 2019 maybe?
Oh, okay. The because I know that there was you had the original Doom. I think there was a reboot back in the early 2010s or late 2000s, and then there was another one. I guess the one you're talking about.
Yes, and
Yeah.
they've got this newer game, so I figured I'd load this one up and play it again, and
Okay.
it's a lot of fun. And then been playing a lot with Adobe's Firefly and generating a lot of images with that, and been having a lot of fun. That's been helping me like storyboard some of my stories and working on things. So it's been pretty fun. Overall, a positive and productive week. Cinders, what were you up to?
Well, I continued unlocking the haunted burrow on my Sting characters with my Thursday night character. Um, she is my captain, and so I got her out and ran her through and acquired the rest of the cosmetic set for my characters on Sting. And then I need to still get them the brooms, but the brooms are character specific, so I had to wait on that one till I could play them some more to get the festival tokens for it. I also continued playing One Lonely Outpost. I had just started it last week when we did the show, and I was really sad because my robot friend QWERTY had had stopped working, and I wasn't sure if I'd be able to fix him or not. And it turns out, yes, you can. One of the first people who comes to visit or to move into your colony is able to fix QWERTY. So my QWERTY is alive and well and running again and being super cute and helpful. So I've been enjoying that. And then today I got on to Peregrine with Emerlina because I knew she needed that broom. And so I just ran her through the haunted burrow just before the show. And she has a broom and the cobwebbed outfit and hat on Peregrine, so she just needs the cauldron and the cloak now to finish off her cosmetic set.
My question is, if you have a broom, how come your outfit has cobwebs all over it?
Because just like in real life, in my house, I don't knock the cobwebs off.
That broom was made for flying, and that's just what it'll do.
Sitting right here in my house, I can see cobwebs all over the corners of my house, and I'm just like, I can't reach it. They're fine. It's fine. There's no spider. It's fine. Sans, how was your day or your week in gaming?
My week was pretty good. I did some more Umbar crafting with my cook, and then I've been playing some Going Medieval, kind of checking out some of the changes that they've made, and they're kind of interesting. Had a whole army just like tunnel right through my wall, so revamping a little bit there, but it was pretty good. How was your week, Pineleaf?
All right. My lore master encountered Iorzen the Changeable, so we'll have some interesting adventures with him, I'm sure. And our another round groups, in both of our groups, we were actually headed over to Kairos Galebrin, where we listened to the story of the wonderful defense of Kairos Galebrin as it fell, unfortunately. And then looked around for some memories and all that. And then I spent a bit of time playing the Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring trick-taking game. And that is all for my week in gaming. We currently have 11 supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to join this illustrious rate of players and help support LOTRO players, you go to the nation's page to support the Players Alliance on Patreon. Your money will be used for our podcast hosting, website hosting, and to pay for our live shows. And thanks for Home Gaming Networks for their support. And also, a call out to the Sentinels of the West on the Peregrine RP server. We did not receive any emails this week or feedback, but if you'd like to send it to us, you can send it to podcast@loachplayers.com. The Players Alliance has 2 shows. On Saturdays at 8 p.m. USC time, we have Loach Players News and we record DDO Players News when Drac is available. You should join for our shows at loachplayers.com/live. And that's all for tonight. And this is Pipe Needles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.